From the tick-free studios of Univest at Lehigh Valley Public Media in Bethlehem, PA, it is time for another disease-fighting episode of chemical-free horticultural hijinks you bet your garden. I'm your host, Mike McGrath. What's the scariest pest waiting for you outdoors? It has to be the terrible tick. On today's show, we'll explain how wearing the correct kind of clothing can protect you from this awful arachnid. Plus your fabulous phone call questions, comments, tips, tricks, suggestions, and artfully articulated assignations. So stay right where you are, cats and kittens, because it's all coming up faster than you passing your tick test every time. Right after this.
Support for You Bet Your Garden is provided by the Espoma Company, offering a complete selection of natural organic plant foods and potting soils. More information about Espoma and the Espoma Natural Gardening Community can be found at espoma.com.
Welcome to another thrilling episode of You Bet Your Garden from the Univest studios at Lehigh Valley Public Media in Bethlehem, PA. I am your host, Mike McGrath. Yes, I am. And coming up later on the show, I am going to help you avoid getting bit by ticks this season. So stay laser focused to your choice of devices or however you're watching, listening, or hovering over us with a drone. All right? But before that, lots of your fabulous phone calls at 888-492-9444. So let us welcome George.
Hi, Mike. How are you doing today?
I'm just ducky. How is George?
Very well, thank you.
All right. Where is George very well?
Reading, Pennsylvania.
Okay. I will be at the Exeter Library in or near Reading on, I don't know, when did I say I was going to be there? June. It'll be up on our website, but it's free, so come out and see me.
Okay, and in fact, I was at the library the other day, and I saw a flyer on the billboard there with your wonderful picture there, and you're going to be there answering questions and having a good time.
Yep, so you should join us.
Okay.
And then we'll go to a Reading Phillies game. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, what can we do for George?
A couple questions. Dogwoods. We have problems with dogwoods. I know they're probably 45, 50 years old, but my mother's concerned. The leaves are curling, and there's a large amount of lichens growing on the bark, and my mom's concerned that if I trim them, they're contagious and they'll spread to my skin. And I said, I do not think so, Mom, but we'll ask Mike and see what he says.
Spread to your skin?
Yeah, well, my mom's 93, and has concerns about everything.
Now, you sent us a whole bunch of pictures here.
Right.
And the one that disturbs me the most is the one that looks like Native American carvings in the bark of one of these trees.
Okay, that carving is from a dead standing white ash, which was done in by the emerald ash borers. That's a very large tree, and you can see all the trails in it and everything like that. That's on a country property, and I just wanted to send that to you because a lot of the viewers can see what the borers actually do underneath the bark. I guess they destroy the cambium layer of the tree, and it just dies from lack of nutrients or something like that.
They create so many little canals and roadways that literally they girdle the tree underneath the bark. They just cut off nutrients from top to bottom and bottom to top. So, emerald ash borer is a big problem, bigger problem than I can solve here today.
Right.
Now, your mom's not liking your lichen.
No. She doesn't know. There's one tree in particular I sent you a picture of that looks it's in a deep state of demise. And I said, Mom, we got to cut it down. She's like, no, there's one limb that's still growing and flowering. I'm like, okay. The birds like to stand on the perches and whatnot, but I think the neighbors are a little bit disgusted with it. But
Well, and does this tree have does your mom really like this tree?
no, she has no great attachment to it. She just likes to live as long as they possibly can, and thinks they should die in her own. I said we'll ask Mike and see if we should replant one, and if so, should it be white or pink? Is one stronger or more resilient to disease than the other?
Dogwoods don't like wet feet, and
Right. Okay.
they have a problem in full sun, which your dogwood appears to be in.
Okay. Gotcha. Yes.
So
The other one is in shade from high oaks in the western part of the street. So that might be why it's doing so much better.
So it is doing much better.
Yeah.
Lichen is a unique living creature. It's in my mind, which is severely damaged by the years. To me, it's kind of a cross between moss and one of the slime molds.
Okay.
Those are the things that pop up in people who foolishly landscape their landscape with wood chips that are dyed, and all these nuisance fungi come out. Lichen prefers obviously damp conditions. It is not deadly. It is not directly harming the tree, but it is showing you that the tree is on its way out.
Okay, thank you.
Now, with these kind of organisms, what I like to do is when I cut down a tree or something like that, or we have to move moss out of an area, we take the moss or the lichen and we get a long piece of wood, like the biggest part of the trunk of the tree, and we decorate it with the moss and the lichen and make it a central feature.
Okay.
All you got to do is keep it somewhat shaded and moist, and wait. Some of these things will actually sprout what would be primitive flowers, and all sorts. You can see how beautiful the colors are.
Right. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's like the patina on old copper. So yes, you should cut. Now, are you going to cut it down yourself?
Yes.
Move that car. No.
The whole VW. Yes. Okay, I'll do that. It has an electrical problem, but I'll move it.
Yeah, so do I. My bill.
I hear that.
Now, have you taken down big trees before?
Yes.
Okay. So you got a pole pruner, you've got a hard hat, you got safety glasses, and you know to take off small chunks at a time, especially as you work towards the top of the tree.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What else you want?
Are mountain ash trees related to the American white and green ash? Are they susceptible to the emerald ash borer?
I think the borer likes any kind of ash tree.
Okay, that eliminates that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be planting any more ashes. What I see on the one that's going to come down, that to me looks like a great place for an ornamental cherry tree, maybe a weeping one.
Okay.
Put on that great display in the spring.
Right. Okay, that sounds like an option. Sure. We have to balance it out. And the one that's in the yard that's much smaller and looks very vibrant, that was a white dogwood that was growing inside the cyclone fence, which my mom had me carefully remove.
Mm-hmm.
And I replanted it. It took in the side yard, so we'll see how that goes.
I would put in a different plant.
Okay.
All right?
I hear you.
So tell your mother I said so. And
I will.
And say hi for me.
We love your program, and you're definitely a savant of botany.
Yeah, I'm a idiot savant. All right, take care, man. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. See you at the library.
You got it. 888-492-9444. Lola, welcome to You Bet Your Garden.
Thank you.
Where are you?
I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, sir.
All right. Always a pleasure to talk to our friends down there. And it's Lola in Memphis. What can we do you for?
Sir, I have some elephant ears, and when I moved into the house, they grew and they was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, over the years, they've started to get smaller, and I've been told there's too many bulbs down there.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to dig some of the bulbs up, but I don't know how to take care of them. Somebody told me to put them in a brown paper bag.
Well, if you ask 100 people who don't know anything about gardening, you'll get 100 different answers, no matter what.
Yes, sir. I believe that.
So, they haven't shown anything above ground yet.
No, they have not.
Do you want to do it right away, or do you want to wait till after they're done in the fall, which it would be easier?
I want to get some of the bulbs up so I can plant them in other spots. That's what I want.
Okay, so what you got to do, you want to get a tool called a poacher's spade, which will work better than a shovel. But if you have a sharp shovel, not a flat blade shovel, you can use that. You would dig around the area where you think the bulbs are. You want to be far away. You want to give yourself 6 inches away from where you think the bulbs are, and you want that shovel or spade to go deep in the ground.
Yes.
And then you use the foot pad to lift it up, and you'll either get some bulbs, or now you'll be much closer. So then you do it again, always moving forward. All right?
Well, sir, I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you for calling. Well, it's time for me to take a little break and announce that I will appear in person to entertain and enthrall all you cats and kittens at the Exeter Public Library in Reading on Wednesday, June 7th at 6 p.m. You'll find more information at the events section of our website, youbetyourgarden.org. I'm your traveling man, Mike McGrath, and you are listening to You Bet Your Garden from the Univest Studios at Lehigh Valley Public Media in Bethlehem, PA.
Support for You Bet Your Garden is provided by the Espoma Company, offering a complete selection of natural organic plant foods and potting soils. More information about Espoma and the Espoma Natural Gardening Community can be found at espoma.com.
Welcome back to another thrilling episode of You Bet Your Garden from the Univest Studios at Lehigh Valley Public Media in Bethlehem, PA. I am your host, Mike McGrath. Coming up later in the show, tired of finding ticks on your personal person? Well, we have a solution for you that means you won't be saying, "Did you get it all out yet?" all season long. You won't want to miss it. And it's coming up after more of your fabulous phone calls at 888-492-9444. Peter, welcome to You Bet Your Garden.
Oh, thank you very much, Mike.
Oh, thank you, Peter. How are you doing, sir?
I'm okay, thank you very much. And you?
And, I'm just ducky. And where is Peter okay?
I'm okay in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania, suburb of Altoona.
Oh,
south
okay.
Of Altoona.
Oh, right. What can we do you for, sir?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm allergic to wasps, hornets, and yellow jackets, but I really hardly ever see them in the yard. So, but what I do see all the time are my friends, the carpenter bees, which I adore because they're so funny.
Yeah.
You know, they act like almost like puppies. You know, they come out and they join you when you go outside, and they go along with you as you walk and stuff, and they're funny as can be. And it's amazing what they can do being such little fat things. But the reason I thought of that is because I said, wait a second, I've had these carpenter bees for ages, and I wonder if they have anything to do with keeping the bad boys away, the wasps, the hornets, and the yellow jackets, because, you know, they're territorial as can be. Of course, you know, when you go out the door, they're right on you.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
watching what you're doing. They go along with you just like a pet would, you know. It's like a leash on the things. They're so adorable. So I was wondering, could they possibly be keeping the wasp and the hornets and the yellow jackets out of the yard to a degree?
That's a great question. And I think the basic answer could well be yes. I think, first of all, you know, it is the males who fly around the entrance holes to the galleries. And that's for two reasons that I can think of. One is to protect the female inside because, you know, they're mated and the male does not want any other guy to get in there. But more importantly, you make me think, and it wasn't directly about wasps to begin with, but you make me think about cuckoo bees. Cuckoo bees are a rarely discussed a type of bee, and like cuckoo birds, what they do is they raid the nest of another species, destroy the eggs, and then lay their own eggs in there to be cared for by the unknowing regular species that was displaced. So in the case of carpenter bees, I would imagine that cuckoo bees would want to go in and simply eat the larval forms. I don't think they would lay their own eggs in there, but anything is possible. However, when you mention yellow jackets, absolutely. Yellow jackets would love to get into a colony of carpenter bees and eat everything and everyone inside, especially when they're in their protein feeding stage. And the other, you know, carnivorous stinging insects you mentioned, mud dauber wasps and things like that, they, you know, they prey on other insects. And I would think that without the male standing guard outside, they would definitely go into the hole and see what's in there to eat.
Absolutely.
So that,
absolutely.
You know, I'm so glad to hear that somebody loves carpenter bees so much.
I love them. I watch them all the time. I can't believe how fast they can fly when they really chase somebody. You know, they chase after each other like crazy, and it's funny as can be. And one of the funniest things in the world is how they try to go through windows. You hear like somebody throwing pebbles on your window, and as they go head first into the things, you know, it's hysterical. And they don't seem to hurt themselves, you know, but they're hitting pretty hard. You know that. You've heard them.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, they just clank away. I've never seen any of the other bees don't do that. These guys just want to go through that window, see what you're doing, and that's it. They're very, very gregarious. They really are. They're very nice. I love the things. It's so funny. They really are hysterical. And when you see how fast they can really fly when they want to, and they're chasing somebody, it's astonishing how quick they can with those little wings they have and their large bodies. It's really amazing, you know.
And they are great pollinators. So they
Wonderful.
do good for our flowers and our food and everything like that as well.
And they're gentle.
Yes. Well, the males don't have stingers. I think that's one of the reasons they're built like linebackers is, you know, that's all they got. You know, the females do have stingers, but they tend not to use them. So the guys are just out there bruising anybody away who's going to harm their family.
Absolutely. And the hole they make is so perfect, it's like a drill did it. absolutely perfect, perfectly cylindrical.
It is.
Amazing
It's a miracle of nature. And what people don't understand is they don't eat the wood. They're just carving a place
to
to
live.
have their family, their galleries. And very rarely is structural damage the result. So I think they're super cool too.
I do too. I think they're tremendous. They absolutely escort you. I come out to the yard, and they're right next to. He's right next to me. It's like I have an invisible leash. He's just coming straight right next to the side of my body, and nothing that would make you think that any bug like that would be so aware, like a little dog, for crying out loud. They're very, very aware of what's going on. It's amazing how they are.
They're very comfortable with themselves.
They're the greatest. They really are. And I have a few more questions too. Okay.
Let's see.
Okay, I'll be quick. I'll be real quick. Okay, first of all, I was thinking about sound because I found an old police whistle I gave to my nieces and stuff like that, and friends, girls, And I said, this thing really makes a crazy loud sound, and it has a reverb to it because of the little T inside. I said, I wonder if they could chase away like the Nasty Boys too. Really loud and startling sounds. So I had someone else look up in Google, and Google said yes, they've had experiments with that stuff, loud noises and stuff, trying to chase down the wasp bear guys, and they said they had some success with the loudness and with some of the insects, but they didn't specify which ones they had. So that's about as far as I could get with that.
I came across this research recently. Most of it was about mosquitoes, and it didn't seem to be effective whatsoever. There's other ways to handle those creatures.
Yeah, I got that. I have the bracelets.
No, bracelets don't work. You have to get like a botanical mosquito repellent and put it on your skin. The bracelets have been shown to be totally fraudulent.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, here am I going around. So you're talking about if I had liquid citronella, I put that on my skin or something like that, and that would work.
Yeah, generally it's a concoction of lemon-scented herbs. But don't be using anything that's not, in a bottle professionally made.
Okay, so, because it's funny because I've been using them for years, and I've been thinking they're going to protect me because if I take a look at here, this has geranium oil and also has let me see, take a look. Give me one little second. Take a look. Geranium oil, it has citronella oil, and it has the lemongrass oil.
Yes.
That's what these things have.
Yeah.
And you say they're useless anyway, even though they have these things.
Well, yes, but just having it on your wrist or your ankle isn't going to protect your face or your neck or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
All right,
okay,
Lam. Listen.
Okay, one more thing real quick. 5 years ago, you said cut the grass 4 inches.
Yeah.
Ever since then, the grass has been terrific. I haven't had to put anything on the grass at all. I don't have to even water it. It's phenomenal. I don't need pesticides. I don't ever use pesticides or herbicides anyway and stuff like that. But I don't have to do anything with it, and the grass comes out great.
Sometimes the answers are easy.
Exactly. Well, thanks a lot for telling me about the bracelets and stuff like that. And I'll do as you say, some sort of a liquid. And because you say the braces aren't any good because they're not going to be strong enough to protect your face and your neck and stuff.
They've been tested and they don't work.
Oh, it's amazing how they sell them. Okay, Mike, it's been great talking to you, man. Thanks
you
very
too,
much
Peter.
for your help, and it's great. So you take care. Thanks very much for everything.
Bye-bye. It was my pleasure.
Bye-bye,
you take
Mike.
care, pal.
Mine too, Mike. Bye-bye.
Well, once again, it is time for our special segment in the news where I find an interesting newspaper article and convey the information to you. The headline on this one, Can Dogs Combat the Spotted Lanternfly? It ran in my local newspaper, The Morning Call, on April 15th. It's written by Paul Avigna, who works for PennAlive.com, and it's just marvelous. There is a project that's unofficially called the Canine Citizen Science Study, which began 2 years ago at a lab at Texas Tech, and has recently expanded to the East Coast, where they are working with dog owners to encourage their canines to sniff out spotted lanternfly egg masses before they can hatch. This is a real serious problem in Pennsylvania. These pests may not have gotten to your region yet, but they are death to grapevines. And it was the local wine industry that is actively seeking this solution. Our story, Paul writes, follows Flint, an 8-year-old border collie. Previously trained as a cadaver dog, he is now sniffing out the egg masses that lanternflies lay in the fall and that hatch in the spring. Pennsylvanians were the first to become acquainted with these invasive insects, which were discovered in Berks County back in 2014. Several vineyards were wiped out by spotted lanternfly, which also can harm trees, crops, and many other types of plants. And dogs, of course, have been used to detect missing people, narcotics, explosives, all the time making use of their, wait for it, 300 million smell receptors. Dogs have good sniffers. Flint was recently let loose at the Alson H. Smith Jr. Agricultural Research and Extension Center in Winchester, Virginia. And he did a great job. He even pointed with his paw when he hit pay dirt, realizing, of course, that he got a treat every time he did it right. In conclusion, it is, quote, a great opportunity for people to have fun with their dogs while also contributing back to their communities in a meaningful way. So keep an eye out for this, especially if you're in a lanternfly infested area. They are really damaging to vineyards. And dogs, they want to work. They love doing this kind of thing and getting rewarded and congratulated. So be on the lookout for the possibility of training classes in your area, or talk to your vet or your local extension service about it. This is from the Allentown Morning Call, Sunday, May 14th, under regional news. From the Associated Press, tiny bats provide hope against fungus deadly to species. Now, we all know about white nose syndrome, a nasty fungus that causes hibernating bats to wake up well before their time. And they come out and it's too cold and there's no bugs to eat and they die off. This has caused losses of over 90% of hibernating bat colonies across the country and perhaps even the world. But as nature would have it, nature finds a way. And we're now seeing some bats that survive the fungus finish their hibernation and come out when the bugs are flying. So this is from Dorset, Vermont. Quote, deep in a cool, damp cave, tens of thousands of furry, chocolate brown creatures stir. The tiny brown bats are survivors of a deadly fungus that decimated their population, going into hibernation last fall. Now, in early May, they're waking, detaching from their rock wall roosts, and making their first tentative flights in search of the moths, beetles, and other flying insects they devour. This is great news. This is adaptation. This is Darwin on a stick. Their health hints that at least some species are adapting to the fungus that has killed millions of their brethren across North America. That's really significant because it seems to be creating a stronghold where these bats are mostly surviving and then spreading out throughout New England in the summer, said Alyssa Bennett, a small mammal biologist for the Vermont Department of Fish and Wildlife. We're hoping that it's a source population for them to recover. The decimation that has occurred has been close to unbelievable. Scientists now estimate that between 70,000 and 90,000 bats hibernate in the Dorset Cave, the largest concentration in New England. But those numbers have dwindled from an estimated winter population of 300,000 to 350,000 or more in the 1960s, before white nose disease or white nose fungus was first observed. And it matters. First of all, I love being out on a summer evening and seeing my little brown bats fly across my garden. But I remember growing up in a row home in Philadelphia, and every time it got dark, hundreds of bats would fly out. These are row homes. But we also had streetlights that attracted a lot of moths and stuff. So they eat so many pest insects. The U.S. Geological Survey estimates that bats boost U.S. agriculture by $3.7 billion a year by eating crop-destroying insects, such as larva-laying moths whose offspring decimate many plants. So there's something special about these bats, Bennett said of Dorset's little browns. We can't tell exactly what it is, but we know that something is allowing them to tolerate the disease and pass those features on to their young. So file this under good news, cats and kittens. Bats are our friends. Just don't let them get caught in your hair. Well, it's time for me to take a little break and announce that I will appear live and in person down the shore this summer. I'll be appearing for the Avalon Free Public Library at Surfside Park in Avalon, New Jersey on Monday, July 31st at 7 p.m. It's an outdoor, on-the-lawn event, so bring blankets, chairs, and maybe even a dinner-time picnic basket. The event is free, and we can skedaddle indoors if weather is less than clement. You'll find more information on all these activities at the events section of our website. I'm your traveling man, Mike McGrath, and you're listening to You Bet Your Garden from the Univest Studios at Lehigh Valley Public Media in Bethlehem, PA.
This is 91.3 FM, WLVR Bethlehem, WLVR.org.
Welcome back to another thrilling episode of You Bet Your Garden from the studios of Univest at Lehigh Valley Public Media in Bethlehem, PA. I am your host, Mike McGrath, and we're in the stretch now, cats and kittens. In just a little bit, news you can really use. How to prevent yourself from getting tick-bitten when you're outdoors this season. You won't want to miss that. And you shouldn't, unless you walk away, because it's coming up soon. Right after phone calls. 888-492-9444. Dave, welcome to You Bet Your Garden. Help me out.
Thank you, Mike. With your expertise in gardening, I'm not sure you need much help, but I am here.
I need more help than I can afford. Oh, dear. How you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderfully. It is a beautiful day in Berks County.
Okay, where in Berks?
I'm in Mertztown, which is actually not very far from Kutztown University.
Oh, okay. That's a great area. What can
I love it.
What can we do you for?
I have, when my wife and I purchased this land, we always wanted to have different trees for different members of the family.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I have always wanted to get a copper beech for my daughter. Now, I know they're tough to grow, and we have dead neutral soil. So I need to know the pluses and minuses of that particular tree in my soil and whether or not it's really a good idea.
Is your daughter a Sherlock Holmes fan?
No, actually, she isn't. She's just loved the trees that are down at Longwood Gardens that we know very well here in Pennsylvania.
Yes, it is a magnificent tree. I'm not sure about the necessity or whether it's a good idea to try to grow it from seed, even though, of course, it does drop those famous beech nuts. I think this is the tree is very slow growing, but eventually does reach a height of around 30 to 50 feet. And the foliage in the fall, as you know, is unsurpassed. I mean, it's copper, right?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I would, but it's perfectly acclimated to your climate. You're right in the middle of its USDA zone distinctions. And what I would do is look around, right around you, like between you and Reading. I believe there are a couple of very large tree farms that raise trees commercially. And I would get in touch with them and see what it would cost you to get, a 2-year-old tree, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old. And I would wait until the fall at this point to install it.
Okay.
Because the first summer is often brutal on newly planted trees. But a tree planted in the fall has a better survival rate than even a tree planted in the spring. So, I mean, go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say, excellent. That I'm just concerned if there's any, with all the new problems of different fungi and not fungi, if there's any disease that I need to be particularly concerned about for this tree.
Well, any tree can be subject to some diseases, but a lot of times it's cultural. Something went wrong with the planting, the weather just blew everything off the map. I think these are pretty sturdy trees. Now, it's been a while since I researched them, but I would urge you to, because you bring up a great point. There will be named varieties that you will find for sale around the area. And, you do want to look for disease resistance to any common problems. But beech is a totally underutilized tree, in my opinion. And I don't think it's because of any problems. I think it's because it is such a slow grower, which means you should buy the oldest tree you can afford. And then in the fall, end of August, as soon as the heat breaks, if it ever breaks, you want to dig a wide hole, not a deep one. Remove all the wrappings from your tree, no matter what anybody else tells you. Get rid of the burlap, get rid of the steel cage. If the roots seem to be compressed, spread them out. It would be a good idea to soak the root system in water for a couple of hours before you plant it. Plant it so that the root flare is visible above ground. Fill the hole in with the same soil you removed, and then mulch it with 1 inch of compost and let a hose drip at the base for like 8 hours the first time. And then let that hose drip at the base any week we don't get water, including warm spells in the winter. The first year of a tree's life is the most fragile. and you're going to make a good investment, and you're going to take good care of it, and it will thrive.
Wonderful. That's wonderful news. I appreciate it. I love your program, and thank you so much for all you've done over the years, going back to Philadelphia Flower Show days with Rodale.
Oh, good Lord. Yes, those were wonderful days. By the way, in case people are wondering, beech nut chewing gum is not made from beech tree nuts or anything like that. Beech nut was a brand name for ham. It used to be called Imperial Ham, but that didn't sound right to people, so they called it beech nut. So that people would think of that wonderful color bark and leaves. And then a whole company evolved around it. And eventually, in addition to hams, they started making chewing gum. And
Wow, that's neat.
That's where beech nut gum comes from.
Never knew that. Thank you for that as well.
Oh, I got so much useless advice up here. All right, man.
That's why we appreciate you every week.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Thank you so much, and you take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
You too. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
As promised, it is time for the question of the week, and a very timely question it is. We're calling it How to Outwit Terrible Ticks. Slater in Williamsport, PA, which he describes as being on the fringes of reception from Penn State's fabulous WPSU, writes, in the past, you have discussed permethrin-treated clothing as an effective means of avoiding ticks and the diseases they carry. It certainly works for me. I no longer get ticked. You are a strong promoter of organic methods, and yet your care for people has kept you from being a blind ideologue when it comes to dangerous ticks. My respect for you has only increased. The weather is now warming up. Perhaps it's time for a reminder to your listeners. P.S. As bad as Lyme disease is, some of the pathogens they carry are even worse. My buddy almost died from a different tick-borne disease right here in central PA. Well, you are correct, Slater. One of my favorite people, Marty Singleton, who was co-chair of the security committee at the Philadelphia Folk Festival, contracted Rocky Mountain spotted fever while out target shooting one day. This once giant and gentle bear of a man became unrecognizable during his months-long hospital stay, never recovered, and died of the disease. The CDC has identified 8 different specific pathogens and diseases spread by ticks, with Rocky Mountain spotted fever considered the deadliest and Lyme disease the best known. Now, I have held bees that have stingers in my bare hands. I have picked up a large snapping turtle by its tail, which makes them go into play dead possum mode, hopefully. And I view spiders and snakes as my beloved garden protectors. Yeah, turtles too, but who doesn't like turtles? And yet a photo or a video of a tick always sends me right into squirmy mode. If they serve a purpose in our ecosystem, we still have one of those, right? I'll be darned if I can figure out what it is. Mosquitoes keep many species of songbirds and dragonflies well fed. But ticks? Come on, damn you for being thorough, Noah. Anyway, Slater is also correct that permethrin is the #1 answer. DEET and many non-chemical botanical alternatives are effective against mosquitoes if you cover every exposed area of your body. But DEET is absorbed through your skin and exits your body via your liver and kidneys, perhaps making it the next draft choice for the Roundup Award of But you told us it was safe. DEET also has no effect on ticks and may actually attract them. Permethrin is a synthetic form of the botanical insecticide pyrethrum, which is made from the dried flowers of a certain species of daisy. The natural form works well, but degrades quickly. The synthetic form is designed to remain active despite exposure to air and sunlight, and is deadly to ticks in a manner that no other compound can approach. Virtually all studies agree that ticks cannot survive on permethrin-treated clothing for more than a few minutes. More intriguing studies suggest that the little bloodsuckers might begin to die when they're less than a foot away. And yes, I said clothing. Permethrin is meant to be applied to your clothes. You should not apply it directly to your skin, not because it will harm you in any way, but because your body temperature would aerosolize it away. The air between you and your clothes helps prevent this. There are a few 100% in gardening, but I have never been bitten while wearing my protective pants, socks, and hat. Brrr, yes, they can drop down on top of you from trees. But I have been bitten when I was lazy and didn't wear my tick-proof clothes. Many people spray a set or two of their own clothes monthly. These sprays are available at any store with a camping or hunting section, and of course online. You hang the clothes outdoors, spray all sides thoroughly, and let the laundry dry for several hours before wearing. Be sure to purchase sprays that contain only permethrin. DEET is useless against ticks. But permethrin does repel mosquitoes as well. In an abundance of caution, I recommend you have a fan blowing the mist away from you while you're spraying, and keep cats out of the area, as they are very sensitive to permethrin. You can also buy clothing that has been professionally treated from several sources, including LL Bean and a company known as Insect Shield. The repellency factor of pre-treated clothes lasts much longer than clothes you treat yourself. Insect Shield, for instance, claims its treatments will outlast 100 washings. You can also send some companies your own clothes to be professionally treated. Hey, and I want to thank Slater for his compliment. It was a difficult decision for me to recommend permethrin, as it is not organic. But he's right. I made that choice because I recognize the dangers that ticks present. Also, the material doesn't enter the environment. It stays on your clothes and doesn't get into our food, bodies, or soils. This is what the great Bill Quarles, PhD, calls common sense pest control, in which you use the safest materials possible. Thanks again, Slater. Of course, there are other preventions you can employ. Chickens, ducks, geese, and especially guinea hens are alpha predators of ticks. Controlling mice on your property can greatly reduce the number of ticks. And be sure to keep any tall, grassy areas in your landscape as neat as possible. Ticks love the moist cover they provide. So don't you go strolling through that meadow of yours without protection. Well, that sure was some helpful information about how not to get bit by ticks this season, now wasn't it? Luckily for you, the question of the week appears in print at the Gardens Alive website. To read it over at your leisure, or of course your leisure, just click the link for the question of the week at our website, which is still and will forever be youbetyourgarden.org. Gardens Alive supports the You Bet Your Garden question of the week, and you will always find the latest question of the week at the Gardens Alive website. Yikes, my producer is threatening to poach my permethrin if I don't get out of this studio. We must be out of time. But you can call us anytime at 888-492-9444 or send us your email, you're tired, you're poor, you're wretched refuse, teeming towards our garden shore at YBYG at WLVT.org. Please include your location. I'm an old man. My heart can't stand it. Tell us where you live, okay? You Bet Your Garden is a half-hour public television show available for viewing on PBS 39, PBS 39 Extra, PBS Passport, and our website. It is also an hour-long public radio show and podcast, and all of this wonderful stuff is produced and delivered to you from the Univest studios at Lehigh Valley Public Media in Bethlehem, PA. Our radio show is distributed by PRX, the Public Radio Exchange. You Bet Your Garden was created by Mike McGrath. Mike McGrath was created when he traded the family's magic beans for a cow. Ken Queter is our musical director. Our chief content officer is Yoni Greenbaum. Our angel of the airways is Christine Dempsey. Our sound engineer and set decorator is cheerful Charlie Sarah. Our social media director is Amanda Norfleet. Send her pretty pictures of your garden at the You Bet Your Garden Facebook page. Teresa Radke is our peerless princess of profound production. Our audio editor is the always lovely Jonas Bowen. Judicious Jake Boyer does the video. Our directorial director of direction is the harassed and harried Javier Diaz. We also present, for your dining and dancing pleasure, Jacob Morris, Zach the Tack, and our beloved band of carnies, card sharks, roustabouts, and fortune tellers. Our CEO is Tim Fallon. I'm your host and executive producer, Mike McGrath, in Bethlehem, PA. Okay? So have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you right here next week.